Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, November the 16th, 2021, and you're at the City of Opa-locka CRA board meeting. And we're going to now call the meeting to order. The time is now 5:37. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Yes, madam. Board Member Bass.
I'm here.
Board Member Taylor. Board Member Titus.
Here.
Board Member Williams.
Here.
Vice Chair Davis. Chair Russell.
Here.
Attendance confirmed.
We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but before, I'm going to ask Board Member Titus if you would give us a word of prayer, please.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this opportunity to represent you in the earth. You have chosen us to be a part of the growth and the development of this city. We acknowledge your rule and your reign, and that government was established by you. So as we consider these things tonight, may we keep in the forefront of our minds that we represent you, and you establish this city.
Amen.
In Jesus'
Amen.
name.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, do we have any add-ons?
Mr. Delane? I'll let Mr. Delane speak on that behalf.
Okay.
I do have one add-on item that is going to be on the discussion items list, but I'll actually commingle it with item I1, which speaks to signage and project, future project signage. I have a printout that I'll be handing to the board when we get to that item.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
No.
You good? Okay. All right. So we have one add-on item that's going to be a handout. Okay. So it's a discussion item, so it's not anything that we need to vote on. Okay. Can I have someone to move the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting, please?
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Bass.
Second.
Second by Board Member Williams. Any discussion or corrections? If not, seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Board Member Bass?
Yes.
Board Member Titus?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Chair Russell?
Yes.
Minutes passed.
We're going to open the floor now for public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone that registered through Zoom?
From my understanding, madam, yes, we have the Opa-locka CDC. We're going to have a presenter that's going to be speaking with us. If you guys look to the left of you, I did provide a copy of a presentation that she will be presenting for us tonight.
Okay, I don't have one. Thank you. Okay. Are they going to come up and present it now or during? Okay, they'll be doing the discussion items. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, that'll be during the discussion.
Okay. Public comment is now open.
Hi, my name is Regina Salas, and I'm the founder of the Jbs Foundation, Inc. The foundation is in honor of my late grandfather, a civil rights activist in Miami-Dade County. He was the first black police officer on motorcycle for Miami-Dade County. He started the first black union in Miami-Dade County, which was the largest black organization in Miami-Dade County history. He sued the county for racism and discrimination and won. He held the first ever conference given on a black male in the history of the state of Florida. Today, I'm here for my foundation in honor of my late grandfather to do redevelopment in the city of Opa-locka. I already have a master plan. I've already been speaking to the county as well as the state and as well as Congress to be able to redevelop the city of Opa-locka. Our plan includes economic development, community development, housing, jobs, and sustainability, as well as agriculture. I'm here with my business partner, Elenice.
Hi everyone, my name is Elenice Wilson Silva. I'm a diplomat represent African country, which is Guinea-Bissau, residing right now here in Miami, Florida. So Regina, she's my business partner. Also, I'm a CEO of the Golden Time, and the main focus right now is work and developer in the city of Opa-locka and other states here too. So right now, our main focus right now also is bring jobs, housing, and support small business owners and new entrepreneurships here in the city. One of the main goals is to be able to connect the continent from, Africa, all of the 54 countries, to here, United States, and special bring to city of Opa-locka, because as we know, that's a historic city, and we do want to make sure that we keep all our developers and designers straight so our people know our history, where they really come from, and be able to partner up and generate a connection that we had back home to here. So that's one of the main goals that we bring here, Africans to back African Americans here too. Thank you.
As you know, the city of Opa-locka has the largest collection of Moorish architectural art in the Western Hemisphere. We plan to bring this history of the Moors to the city of Opa-locka and redevelop the city of Opa-locka so they can know their roots with the Moors and their connection with the Moors. And we plan to bring a consulate, and will be the first one south of Washington, D.C., to be able to bring history as well as create wealth in the city of Opa-locka.
Okay, so just like Zina, she was saying, right now we have the African Union on board and the UPAC, which is African People for United Nations. During the Obama administration, we was the first African organization was able to take about 50 people to the White House, and right now we work on that too. And before anything, our main goals is just start operating right here and elevate the history for us right now.
Yes.
Before you continue, we normally have a time limit, so if you could wrap it up for us, please.
Basically, we want to restore the Baghdad of the South. Dr. Robert Bob Ingram was the last mayor to restore the city of Opa-locka alongside my grandfather, who built the wealth of alliances throughout Miami-Dade County. And we want to create that same dynamic duo and bring economic development to the city of Opa-locka and restore the history.
Creating a new sustainability, creating a new system, and elevate also the economy. That's going to be the main goals. Bring jobs opportunities again, and again, help the small businesses and special minorities here in the United States, Florida.
Thank
So
you.
I think we're good for now. Thank you so much for having us.
Before you leave, say your grandfather's name again.
Joe Salas.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure some of y'all probably know him. He started Progressive Officers Club, which is right down the street.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. You all have any questions or comments? In short, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly, you mentioned Dr. Robert Ingram.
Yes.
What was that again?
Dr. Robert Bob Ingram,
Yeah, what did you say?
I said he was the last mayor to restore the city of Opa-locka.
Okay.
And I said my grandfather helped build the wealth of alliances throughout Miami-Dade County.
Okay, that's the
Okay.
part I didn't get. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Very, very nice presentation. We would like to have it on paper. Okay, thank you. Very good, very good. Citizens Forum is still open. Go ahead.
One of the guests that's been invited also, I believe Chin Medical has arrived, so I would like to give them an opportunity to come and speak and present.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
may I speak? If everyone please, if you could, please speak in the mic very clearly so I can understand you. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good evening to everyone present.
Good evening.
So we are Chen Senior Medical Center, and we have been blessed to be able to have our 9th medical center helping seniors in the community right here in the heart of Opa-locka. Thank you for having us.
Good evening. My name is Milka Alegria. I'm the Center Director for Chun Medical here in Opa-locka. We are thrilled to be a fiber of your community. We are thrilled to serve our seniors. And I thank you so much for inviting us to your meeting tonight.
My name is Juan Manuel Valera. I am the Director of Growth and Business Development for Chen Senior Medical Center in Miami-Dade. And we have already seen the warmth embrace that we received, not only from the community leaders, but from individuals in the community that already were aware of Chen Senior Medical Centers and what we do with seniors. And now we're able to be here in Opa-locka serving that community as well. So thank you so much for having us. And we look forward to being part of the DNA of the city of Opa-locka from years on end. Thank you so much, and have a blessed proceeding.
Thank you so much for coming to our city. We welcome you on behalf of the CRA board and our board members, and we look forward to you all being a part of our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? Board Member Bass?
Thank you. I had an opportunity to visit on the day of opening, and it was a beautiful occasion. The food was marvelous. I had a chance to meet some of your employees that were all just lovely. Looking forward to working with you. Unfortunately, my parent does not live in Opa-locka, so he goes to actually one of your other sites on 441. So continue to do the great work you're doing.
Board Member Titus?
Yes, I'd like to just share with you the fact that I am a patient of Chin Medical Centers in Miami Lakes. So I guess I will transfer to Opa-locka. It's much more convenient for me.
It's within walking distance.
Within walking distance. But I would like to say that I do hope that your presence extends into giving back to this community in other ways besides just medical. Well, I shouldn't say just medical is very important. You wanted to say something?
Absolutely, we look forward to it. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Gomez. I'm the Cultural and Community Specialist for Miami-Dade for Chen Senior Medical. And I just want to share, first of all, I'm grateful that you're here with us today and that you're a patient of ours. We can help you with the transition into our Opa-locka Center, but that Chen coming into the community and bringing better and affordable health care for the seniors is the big main part, but we also come with a heart of contribution. We want to be engaged in the community, and we understand the value of having social engagement with the entire community, and we understand what that does to the health of our seniors in the community. So you can count with us. Contribution is definitely one of our pride, and our motto that we say is everything that we do it with love, passion, and accountability, and we're here to bring love, passion, and accountability to Opa-locka. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're holding you to that. We're writing it down. Can't you see? But thank you all so much for coming and being a part of our community. Anyone else for community forum?
Madam Chair? May I
Yes, ma'am.
For the record, we have Board Member Taylor that has joined us at 5:52. Thank you.
8? Oh, okay. Glad to Gonna move right along with our resolutions. Everyone's ready? Okay. Resolution, Madam Attorney, please.
Resolution H1, a resolution of the Board of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency, OCRA, establishing the Special Projects and Events Advisory Committee, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Director, would you give us a little insight? Excuse me, we talked about it a little bit on our last meeting, but if you tell us a little bit about this resolution that we have here.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this particular item here was actually drafted in spirit of our last meeting when the special events calendar was put together or presented. And we wanted to take an opportunity to recognize that we wanted these activities to be more engaging with our residents and ensuring that our residents and the greater community has a stake in what type of activities we would like to see done in the CRA area. So after speaking with legal as well as looking at our bylaws, Section 6, Item 6.1, it gives the OCRA board the ability to create advisory boards as they see fit to carry out the missions of the CRA board. So this is something that's within our bylaws and also a request of the CRA board to enact.
Can I get someone to move the resolution?
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor, second by Board Member Titus. Any questions? I think there needs to be one correction. If you look at the resolution on page okay. On page 18, the first page of the policies and procedures for the advisory board, if you go down where it says ex officio members, everyone have it? It would be right after, on the, where it says resolutions, go to about your fourth page. And where it says policies and procedures. And it talks about the board and why it was created. There's an error there. Everyone following? Okay. Where it says, in addition, the city council may appoint, that's an error. It should say the CRA. So, Madam Attorney, can we make that correction, please?
Yeah, you should put in a motion into it unless the manager is accepting that friendly amendment.
We should do what? I didn't.
Should put it in a vote unless the manager is accepting the friendly amendment.
Okay. Are you accepting?
I accept.
Okay. So he's accepting the amendment. Attorneys say we don't have to amend it. We could just add it. So it should say in addition, the CRA may appoint one or more instead of city council. Okay? Correction made. Madam Clerk? Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Any questions before we move on about the resolution?
Just for clarity's sake, Madam Chair, through the chair to the manager, special projects and events, so what they'll do is just pretty much, can you give us a brief synopsis of?
So this committee would look at the types of activities through our CRA plan, as well as looking at civic engaging activities, looking at economic development activities, looking at activities for redevelopment, or special programs and projects that CRAs, across the board utilize to rehabilitate, not just development, but rehabilitate, kind of social gathering type of activities. So all across the board, they will look at the activities and events the CRA board would like to do, but they will also have an opportunity to add on to whatever activities they would like to see carried out in the CRA.
And then they'll bring that,
And they will bring that back to the board as a recommendation.
They will act as an advisory to the board.
okay, that's what I was
Correct.
looking for. Okay,
And that way also, Board Member Taylor, it would give us more community input.
exactly.
So, as part of the CRA, as part of our plan, we're supposed to have community buy-in. So having those residents and community members involved in this committee, that would help us do that.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions, concerns?
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
my
Excuse
question-
me, you know what? I'm sorry. Before we go forward, we didn't acknowledge Board Member Veronica Williams. She's a board member on this board, but she's now the mayor of the city of Opa-locka. We didn't acknowledge her. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Protocol is
quite okay.
important. Go ahead, Madam Board Member.
Yeah, board member, yes. I wanted to know, I know that you're a proponent of separating the city from the CRA. Is it okay for these members to also be a part of city boards, or is that something, would that be an issue later for you?
Can you
Or
repeat
for
that?
anyone else on the board for that matter?
Can you repeat that?
So if we have community members and residents that are part of city boards, would it be okay that they're also part of this particular CRA board? And I just don't want it to be, it's always, our lovely chair is always separating church from state. So I just want to make sure that, it's written that it's okay, that's just as long as, like, we are also attached, but somewhere in those particular bylaws, or I guess rules and procedures, that they can also be a part of the city board as well.
There's nothing in the policies and procedures that keep them from doing that, and there's not really that conflict of interest in there, so it should be fine.
So I think that's what I was asking the chair, is that something that she would like to add so that it doesn't come back up later as an issue?
Well, I don't know whether, I don't know, what do you all think? I don't think it needs to be added. I think that you would find residents that would be more than happy to be a part of this board, because some of the things that even they come up before the commission and say during commission meetings, this is an opportunity for them to get on this board and to bring those things before us as a board, which will also benefit the city. So I don't think it needs to be added, but just to know that it's an open policy that, they can sit on city boards as well as. We make sure we keep it separated.
And I guess what I'm saying is, if you don't add it, which I agree, so to me, it would be fine, but if you don't add it, it leaves it up to interpretation for whoever wants to, say anything else. So I do agree, but a member of the community should be able to be on all boards if they,
Yes.
choose to their liking. So that's all I'm saying. If that's something that we want, we can revisit that later, to be clear.
Okay, well, what we'll do is after, if we need to amend it at a later time, I think that would be appropriate, that we can do the amendment. What do you think, Mr. Director?
I believe at the appropriate time, we'll make that amendment. I don't think that it will have a conflict, as we are two separate entities per se. And I think this will give the community a little bit more direct ability to say what they would like to see in the CRA area, because at the end of the day, the CRA is only 18% of the city. So if those are dividing lines, then I would use that, but I don't think it'd be much of a conflict because it's about the community at the end of the day.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other concerns, comments, questions? If not, Madam Clerk?
Board Member Bass?
Yes.
Board Member Taylor?
Yes.
Board Member Titus?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Chair Russell?
Yes.
Item passed.
Thank you. I'm so happy to see this item get passed. I look forward to us bringing in community members. Each one of us, as a board member, have an appointment. So let's look out in the community. There have been many residents that have come up to us that would like to see different activities and things going on, and this is an opportunity for them to bring it before us as a CRA board and to make those things happen. So I look forward to it. Great job, sir. Resolution number 2, or number 21, it says here. Madam Attorney.
Resolution H2, a resolution of the Board of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency, OCRA, revising the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency Commercial Facade Improvement Program to establish and facilitate a small business assistance grant program, further authorizing the Opa-locka Community Development Corporation, OLCDC, to manage and operate the Small Business Assistance Grant Program, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for a severability clause, providing for a conflict and repealer, providing for an effective date.
Go ahead, Mr. Bench.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
this particular item was reviewed at the last meeting, looking at the facade improvement program. And, well, not this particular item, but looking at options with our facade improvement program, looking at the funds that were expended for that program, and looking at, ways that we can expedite the process, as well as expending the funds for a better purpose. And one of the solutions that came up was looking at providing these funds for small businesses that are in need. Looking at the facade improvement program, one of the challenges were, that program being a match up to a certain percent. Some of the small businesses that are in need, don't even have that to even begin to have that conversation of a match. So this was an opportunity to look at addressing some of those concerns, and then working with the OLCDC that actually has a financial branch, their CDFI, that actually looks at assisting small businesses. I actually brought them to this meeting to be able to present their organization, as well as how they will work with us to expend these funds through our initial Small Business Assistance Grant Program. With us today is Leah, who is from the OLCDC, and I would like to call her up to give her presentation.
Good afternoon. Get the microphone a little bit lower. My name is Leah Yafar, and I'm the Executive Director for the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade. The Community Fund of North Miami-Dade is a subsidiary of the Opa-locka Community Development Corporation, the OLCDC. I've distributed a presentation which we can go through. Some of this information might be you're already familiar with it, but I would like to just make sure that we have all the information together and answer any questions you may have about this small business program. So, like I said, we're going to be discussing the CRA Small Business Grant Program to transition the existing program that is there for the facade into a small business assistance program. We can go to the next one. So who we are the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade, as I mentioned, and we are a CDFI, which is a Community Development Financial Institution. That is a U.S. Treasury designation for organizations that work to help the most needy and resource limited areas, businesses, and people. We work through small businesses in our case, and we work by providing loans and technical assistance to them. So if we can go into the next page. So this is basically what our programs are about. Lending and investing in housing, real estate development, small business, micro businesses, and other commercial enterprises. Our programs today are focused on small businesses, so I'll tell you a little bit more about them. Go to the next. Excellent. This is just to refresh your memories on what the OLA CDC does. It has a lot of different activities. We are really only one of those activities, and we are housed in the subsidiary that is the Community Fund of North Miami-Dade. This is just our staff and our leadership. I think you all probably know many of the people in our organization. I'm going to try to go a little bit quickly through these so we can focus on the ones more specifically about the program. This is just for you to have a little bit of an overview of what we do and what we've done. We conduct a lot of workshops to provide assistance to small businesses. We have provided grants through different funders for businesses for various needs and administered them. And we also provide loans, of course, to small businesses. So that is really the gist of our activities. This is an overview of our loan programs, the terms that we offer to different businesses, so that you have them, and for various users. We are obviously based here. We work a lot in this community, but we are fortunate to have funding that allows us to expand beyond the local area. We can service Broward and Palm Beach businesses as well, and we do so. We provide technical assistance both through group workshops as well as one-on-one assistance to the businesses. And this is really helpful because their needs are really very diverse. So it is not always the best way to reach them through groups, but rather maybe start with a group more general and then be able to work with them one-on-one to provide help. Okay, now we go to the grants and kind of a little bit of our experience. I'm sorry. We have administered grants programs for various funders, especially over the last year and a half because of what happened with COVID. Some of the funders approached us and said, we really want to make sure that these funds get to businesses that need them and that have the ability to use the funding effectively. These are only a few of the funders that we've worked with grants, and some of them we have used for hiring professional services like CPAs. Some of them have used for more general needs like the program that we're discussing here, and some of them also are limited to attending accelerator programs by businesses that we see that could benefit from those kinds of programs. So we really tailor the use of the grant to the specific need of the business. This is a process that we use in terms of how we administer grants. The first step is really a little bit of what we're doing here, which is designing and structuring how we're going to put together this program and what is going to be the application and the award criteria. That's really the most important thing, to agree and be very clear about what that is so that we can follow through on that guidance. Then, the outreach program, because we want to make sure we get the word out, both using the internal resources of the CRA as well as our own social media networks. Conducting information sessions, we find that this is very important in terms of answering questions that may be out there from the potential grantees so that they know exactly what to expect from the process and what information they have to provide. Then the evaluation that would be done internally by us under a committee structure so that we confirm the validity of the applications and the award structure that we're suggesting. And then obviously the payments, provide them to the companies that approve them. This is the eligibility structure that we have discussed, and I think that this is very much
focused on helping the neediest businesses and the smallest businesses, which are the ones that probably have had less access to funding such as this one that you're looking to provide. So we are looking to provide this to small businesses, less than 10 employees, that are located in the CRA boundaries. They have to have been in operation January 1st, 2019. So basically, we're looking at businesses that have been around at least 2 years, so that we have businesses that have already really been established in operations for at least that period of time. They have to be a for-profit entity, and they have to provide certain documentation. The reason why we are asking for this documentation, in our experience in administering similar programs, it's important to validate the need that the business has, and also validate the fact that they are operating in the best way possible. And if that is not the case, we also are an organization that works with businesses that need to improve the way that they operate by helping them find the right resources in order to do so. So these are the requirements, but we also want to allow for businesses that may be missing some of those requirements to help them obtain it within the life of the program. And then we have just basically, this is the timing, a little bit what we expect to happen in terms of next steps of what we need to do. We really have to finalize this concept and draw up the documentation as we are transitioning the CRA Facade Program into a small business program. There's probably some things that we need to document to make sure that that transition is happening. And then after that, basically, one of the big changes that we really suggest to do with this program is to transfer the funds into the CDFI for us to hold them as restricted funds, so that we can then deploy them to the small businesses and not have a very lengthy period of time between application and deployment. I think that's one of the biggest difficulties and frustrations for small business owners when they participate in these programs. And then we expect that we would be able to launch the program in January, and hopefully be able to close it out by March. I feel like I'm missing a slide on the amount. Oh, it was, yeah. Can we go to the next slide? I thought it was before this one. We are suggesting an award amount of up to $5,000 in prioritizing the smaller businesses and the businesses that are not just small in terms of employees, which we're defining, but also with the lower amount in sales, because they will tend to have less resources available to them. The businesses would have to present what they think that will be the use of these funds. And then we would basically work with the business to be able to have the document and reporting that would be provided to you on which businesses are awarded periodically for the funds. The goal is really to revitalize business activities. I want to stop there because I don't want to take up more of your time. I have a couple of success stories from our prior grant programs if you'd like to hear about them or answer any questions.
Madam
We'll
Chair.
take the questions first, I think.
Perfect.
Go ahead, Board Member Taylor.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
To the manager, this is the facade program, right?
Yes, it is
Okay,
the,
well, before you say that, my question is, and we're doing the outside of these buildings, or this, they can use this for renovation on the inside, exterior, as well as interior?
that is correct.
So then my suggestion is, if we're gonna do exterior, then we should get a letter from the landlord if they do not own the property, for us to make renovations on the property.
So that is
That's
actually,
one thing I did not see is one of the eligibility.
so in the original facade improvement application, it made that qualification where if you were a tenant of the property, you had to get a letter from the property owner. So this would fall in line with the same thing for the small business assistance grant,
Okay, but
if it's going to be an improvement to the property.
the only reason why I said, I remember that in the original facade program, but it's not here in this one. And
So-
it's the language is not the same. That's what my point. The language is not the same. So it doesn't speak to us getting permission from the landlord to actually make renovations on someone else's property.
So in the
That's my
case,
little,
okay, so in the cases where there is renovation going on, to make sure that the landlord is also acknowledging that, is that what you're saying?
exactly.
Yes.
Because I know interior is usually okay, but it's the exterior
Yes.
that it will end up being an issue.
Wonderful.
Especially if there's, let's say, if they're in a storefront and they want the exterior to be done, we need permission to actually do that.
Yes.
So, as I mentioned, that was provided in the original language for the facade improvement program. So some of the elements from that program will still be applicable in the small business assistance grant. It's just we're opening up the scope for more opportunities to utilize the funds outside of just the facade. So this can be utilized for interior build-out, for, as you mentioned, bookkeeping, back-of-the-house operations. It's money, literally what they can do with it. However, to ensure that the small businesses are actually using it as an investment, that the idea is to have a return on that investment. The CFI has a team of professionals that are able to work with these small businesses before they get the money. That way they know what they can use the money on and how to facilitate it. Also, something else that I spoke with the CDC was looking at putting together a workshop or forum prior to issuing any dollars and making it mandatory. That way, the business owners that are interested in the grant opportunity, they have to come and be a part of that workshop. They have to hear all the information that needs to be had to apply for the application. And that also gives us the opportunity to have that conversation with the individuals. So we know what their business concerns are, we know what their needs are, and we can pretty much have an open discussion how we can assist the business with the funding.
Okay, and unlike the original facade program, this is not a match grant.
This is not a match grant.
So if you qualify for the 5,000, you get the 5,000 without putting any skin in the game.
Correct.
Got it.
Looking at the facade improvement program as it was, that particular piece was a challenge for some business owners. So we want to make sure we make this as seamless as possible to get them the help that they need.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Manager.
Board Member Williams?
Yes, Madam Chair. I was looking through the PowerPoint, so maybe maybe this is different. In the PowerPoint, it says that the money can be used for business loans as well as technical assistance, or is this something different?
So our CDFI provides the loans and also the technical assistance.
Okay.
So this is kind of along our programs, and specifically in the technical assistance area is where we sometimes also administer and provide grants to small business owners.
So under business loans, it says startup funding. Would that mean that there would be a startup that fits inside that particular business? Or is this outside of, like, I just want to start a business?
Right.
So
So
that's
that's one of our activities, and one of the uses of funds for our loans is for startup businesses. So we have worked with businesses that are beginning to help them obtain funding, and in particular loan funding, in order to start that up. In the case of these small business grants, if part of what they need is funding to start a business, it's probably not going to fit with the requirements that we're setting forth here, because we want the business to have been operating already for 2 years.
Okay, so this is outside of the grant.
what we
This
do.
was something,
Right.
that's where I got a little confused when I was looking
Yeah,
at the
sorry.
PowerPoint. Got it, okay.
Yeah.
So within the grant, I get, Board Member Taylor mentioned the facade, and I know you, Mr. Manager, gave some other ideas of where that grant could be placed, but is that set in stone? Because I guess I'm not reading, like, where, is it just facade right now, or can you help me find where specifically these grants can go for? Because I was looking through the PowerPoint and I think I stumbled on something else.
So in your agenda
the rest-
packet,
okay.
okay,
Got it.
yeah.
I mean,
But just to clarify, that would be on page 23.
Okay,
That kind of
thank
gives
you.
you an example of what the funding would be utilized for.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Under page 23, and in the second paragraph titled 2001 Small Business Assistance Grant Program. And these are recommendations, initial recommendations, so if the board would like to add others, we can do that at this time. This exercise is actually a working exercise with the consultant. That way we can come to a resolution to solidify this program being rolled out.
Did you see, Board Member Williams, did you see it? It's not in the PowerPoint, it's in your packet on page 23.
No, I see it, but I forgot. Okay, oops, it's PowerPoint. So, no, I'm there. So it's 5,000 tops? That's the, am I?
The number is variable. That's the initial number that we looked at, $5,000. We do have, I believe, about 88,000 left over in the fund balance for the existing facade improvement program. So 5,000 was the number we looked at to have the maximum impact. However, we can go up or down depending on the board's choosing.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, I'm sorry. I guess what I'm saying is I don't know $5,000, how does that help? Like, I don't have a business.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a business owner can help me understand, will $5,000 help, or would a business need more than $5,000? Just seems a little short.
If I may, just from
Yes,
our
please.
experience, during the COVID, we administered programs as small as $500. We have also worked with many businesses now, specifically in the financial area with CPA and other professional services, around $2,000, $2,500. Those things, they go a long way to really get a business started, maybe with something they haven't been doing or other ways. But these are small businesses that we have worked with mostly, so it's up to you.
You know, I had a concern as well about $5,000, because if you've already been in business for 2 years, $5,000 really is not a lot of money. But when you look at some of the other things that they may be able to help businesses with, like bookkeeping, you know, those are the areas that small businesses need to help them get over the hump sometime, more than they need money for painting and fixing up a building. They need that backdoor help, like helping them get a CPA, helping them get some clerical assistance. Those type of things, $5,000 goes a long way. For instance, if you have a restaurant, you probably could afford to buy the food because that's what keeps your business going, but you need a bookkeeper. You need someone that's answering the phones, taking the orders. You know, you might need to expand to Uber Eats or something like that. That's where that $5,000 would be a great help, sometime more than the facade of the building. That's where a lot of small businesses have challenges, is doing some of those backdoor things. So $5,000 in that sense would mean a lot. You know, that could get you a bookkeeper for a year.
So, Madam Chair, and I will go into my question along with, I don't want to say Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, my colleague. Can we use these funds for payroll?
I don't know whether that's in the criteria of using it for payroll.
Because I heard about the bookkeeping. That's why, can we use it for payroll?
The criteria is related to like professional services. So an accountant, if they would give us the proposal or of what an accountant would cost over a certain period of time, that would probably be, I don't know, payroll is not something that we have
Yeah.
on the criteria. So I don't know that payroll would be included. It is more for services directly.
Services.
So, for example, a digital marketing campaign would be something that people would maybe be hesitant to spend on without
Yes.
really knowing, but something like that would be something that could be helpful. In the professional services is the other area that we see a lot of
So
demand for.
professional services for the most part. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I know in being a small business, sometime those backdoor services that are needed help you along the way much more than, other things. Because, first thing you think about doing is if you have a landscaping business is buying a lawnmower, but then the lawnmower has to be serviced. You got to buy parts for it and things like that. So, and help somebody, keep the books. That's very important in small businesses. Yes, go ahead.
And as I elaborate, Madam Chair, to the board has the ability to dictate the terms as well as the cost estimate of the grant. So again, 5,000 is just the start. We can go up or we can go down depending on the board's choosing. Although I do agree, $5,000 does for smaller back of house, bookkeeping, accounting, things like that. Creating a website, $5,000 can be utilized in a multitude of ways. But again, we can go up to $10,000, we can go down. But we're also looking at maximizing the dollar and helping as many businesses as we can, as opposed to putting this grandiose amount of money together for, 6 to 8 businesses for $10,000. We can bring that down to $5,000 and help more businesses on a smaller scale, but maybe more impactful. So I just want to let you all know you are well within your ability to make that decision.
Can you tell us that dollar amount that we have available for this year?
I believe the number that had not been deployed yet for the Facade Program is around $88,000.
Okay, so you all understand that this is the money that's left over from the Facade Program, and we'll transform it into this Business Assistance Program for this year, so that we can spend that money, and then maybe next year when we go in, we could do something different. Yes.
Madam Chair, and just to clarify that point, yes, this is to close out an objective from the last fiscal year. And as we're moving into the new fiscal year, we want to restart the Facade Improvement Program Phase 2, but we didn't want to commingle 2 projects from the same line item from one fiscal year to another. So this is just to close out this one before we launch a new project, basically completing it so it doesn't look like, we're trying to juggle two things at one time. So that's why this is, a pressing item to move along.
You should have led with that, Mr. Manager.
And then also we want the Facade Improvement Program, we want it to be successful. So we don't want to look like, it was a failure. So we came together, the manager came together. I keep calling you the manager, director. Y'all keep saying manager. The director came together with Opa-locka CDC to see how we could best, make this program a success. And I think this would be something that will work. And they have the expertise in already handling this type of business. So we're looking forward to a strong finish.
That's what we want as well, definitely. And hopefully bigger ones to come.
Okay, any other concerns? So we are going to have, for the kickoff of this program, we are going to have a workshop for anyone that's interested. my concern is that we make sure that we advertise this program well enough and that it get to businesses in the community so that we can have participation. We don't want to just put it out there and we really don't have the participation of the people in the community.
I agree.
So when we have the workshop, the CRA along with the CDC, we need to make sure that we advertise. And everyone here know that I'm a stickler for signage.
Sounds good.
And Madam, one more thing. Being that we're at the close of last fiscal year and we're already started the new fiscal year, those that qualify for this grant in 2021, will they also be able to qualify in the upcoming year?
That is correct.
That's all. Yeah, okay, we're good.
Okay. Okay, any other concerns?
Just one quick question. Madam Chair,
Yes.
so I also have to sit through a workshop for $5,000? Is that what you said?
Well, maybe not you, but the business person,
Okay.
if they want to get the $5,000, yes, they have to sit. That's mandatory, right?
Think of it as like a timeshare. Oh, God, that's terrible. I'm sorry, not like
Terrible thing to do.
I'm gonna leave it alone. I just think we're shortchanging folk. But I mean,
No.
I'm in a
You're not
recent
gonna-
remodel of my home, and 5,000 is paint. But okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
You know, they
Just the
take you
paint.
for a great dinner, timeshare
But okay.
dinner, and
5,000 it is.
bad analysis, bad
Terrible,
analysis.
terrible. But to clarify that, the workshop will be mandatory if you need the funding.
Yeah.
It's imperative for you to participate because that'll basically be your ability to explain what are your concerns, what your needs are, and then we can have a real live dialogue before you even apply. So we can ensure that not only you're applicable, but the needs are warranted and we can figure out how to make those adjustments in real time.
Okay, no other concerns?
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know. I don't want to, I didn't mean to overlook our number one cheerleader. Contract, what is he, developer in the back there, but we know that you're a business person, but we don't want you to, you know, we don't want to not acknowledge you.
What you should do is also check out Leroy Jones because he gets a bunch of money also from the county, and he can probably match, probably get with her, because Leroy gets all the county money from every municipality.
Yeah, the mom and pop grant.
Yeah, he has all that
Yeah,
stuff
that's
set up,
right.
so sit with her and him before you make this decision. Sit with them and her and see what can be done to make it make more sense.
Oh,
Because he have 10,000, he gives that up to 15, 20,000, and see what she's coming with, and y'all do what y'all do.
thank you.
Madam
So-
Chair? I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Ario
Miss-
Lundy,
thank-
14911 Duval Street.
Thank you, sir. And can you, the name of the business that I didn't hear you, sir. The name of, because for the minutes.
Meadow Homes.
Okay, thank you.
And if you need me to call Leroy personally to see you, which if you have that relationship, that's not a problem. And now also, you can deal with her and him, see what's best to make your program successful, because this is what he does. He got everything from the county.
Okay.
And you can get with both of them.
Thank you, and then it would, that way you could probably increase that $5,000 next time. Okay, thank you for that, information, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Board Member Bass?
Yes.
Board Member Taylor?
I will only say yes if they feed us at the workshop like they do at the timeshare. So, Mr. Manager. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Board Member Taylor.
Thank you, okay. Board Member Titus?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Chair Russell?
Yes, you gotta have brain food.
Natural juices.
It's coming out of your marketing budget, so just so you're aware.
Anyway, thank you. We have one more resolution, right? Okay.
Resolution H3, a resolution of the Board of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency, OCRA, approving and adopting the proposed OCRA Development Incentive List, providing for incorporation recitals, providing for a severability clause, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for an effective date.
Okay. Mr. Director, if you could, this is the incentive program where the $500,000 was allocated?
That is correct.
Okay. You know, we started at $750,000, we took it down to $500,000. So if you would go through this again and help us follow along.
Okay, before we break down this document, I would like you all to take a look at page 31 in your agenda packet. So on page 31 is the initial list that I provided back at the June 27th meeting. And this is pretty much the examples to be utilized for the development incentives. So what staff has done is looked at this list, looked at the budget amount that was adopted by the board during our budget hearing, and looked at programs where these dollars could be applied. So if you've taken a quick glance at that, look back at page 28, and you'll see where those programs, at least a few of them, have been recommended for the utilization of that $500,000, and I'll break them down as they're listed. So the first item is the phase 2 of the Facade Improvement Program. We're basically relaunching that program as previously mentioned for the next fiscal year, and that amount will be, again, $100,000. The second item is
Can we, as he go through each one of them, if we have questions, can we ask the questions before he go on to the next one? So the $100,000 for the Facade Program. Any questions? I have a question. Will that Facade Program be going on simultaneously with the other, the allocated money that we're getting back?
My recommendation would it not be running at the same time. However, depending on certain business activities, that actually may be a benefit because we can kill two birds with one stone, since the previous Facade Improvement Program will be a small business grant, and this will be a Facade Improvement Program. So there may be a possibility, for example, if there needs to be interior work to be done, then the Facade Improvement Program can turn around and do the exterior work, just to give an example. So it's give or take. It's Bob here. Actually, I would like to call up Mr. Anathan if he's available to see if this is something that wouldn't cause any budgetary concerns due to the fact that it's from one fiscal year to another.
Well, I'll listen to Mr. Anathan first.
Thank you and good evening, Bob Anathan, Budget. You're going down a road you don't want to go down. The $88,000 that was not spent in last year's Facade Program is now in the trust fund. If you want to spend that money, you're going to have to do a budget amendment and take $88,000 out of your trust fund and put it in your budget. The money you have to spend this year is, I think, it's $1.3 million bottom line, but you put $81,000 into the trust fund. So thank you for calling me up, because you've gone down a road that you're going to have to do more than just say, I'm going to spend $88,000 on the first program. You're going to have to actually do a budget amendment and take it out of the trust fund.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for that. So what we have to do is, then maybe we can't vote on this tonight?
That certainly is your call, ma'am. I don't know.
Would the budget amendment need to be done before we vote on this?
Well, budget amendment does have to be, if you in fact want to spend $88,000 on the program previously discussed, you will have to do a budget amendment. Doesn't mean you have to do it tonight, but you will have to do it before you actually spend the money.
Okay, okay.
So just to clarify that, the item can be voted on tonight, but before we spend the funds, we'll have to come back and do a budget amendment.
Correct.
Okay, just for clarification purposes. Thank you.
I'm not in favor of doing the facade improvement program simultaneously with the small business assistance grant, because we have to get someone that's going to be managing. We haven't decided whether or not we're going to use the same vendor that we used last time to manage the facade program. We don't even know whether they want to do that. That's not a discussion that I think we should have tonight. I think that the director should go back and seek out who would be handling the facade program, because they're not the same. You know, we might not want to take the same route that we took last time with the facade program, because we didn't accomplish all of our goals. So we want to look at the way we did it last time and maybe do it different. So I don't think they should be going on simultaneously. It's something that we can put in the budget, but I don't think, I don't agree with doing the both of them. I think we need to get finished with the small business assistance grant program and then start the facade program. Because who's going to manage the facade program?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
So to clarify that even further, I agree. Also, the approval of, or review and approval of this item is just reviewing what we can use the money for. We're not approving the projects to move forward until we have an agreement in place and we do an RFP for the management of the programs. This is just looking at, you know, we have $500,000.
Okay.
And these are the specific programs that we can put to utilize those funds. Now, again, these are recommendations, and the board can decide if they want to add or subtract or however they want to with these particular items. But this is looking at the $500,000 that we do have, and these are programs that were presented to the board as a discussion item on July 27th. And I brought them back with the dollar amount so you can see how those funds would be expended. It's just like how we did the facade improvement a year ago, where we approved the program, but then we came back and we approved the contractor to carry out the program.
And my concern, board members and Mr. Manager, is that the way that we structured the facade program the last time, I think it needs to be structured differently. I think that we need to get a contractor that's going to go out and do the work and not allow the business owner to just choose a contractor. I think it would go smoother. And I'm thinking as I talk, maybe voting on this tonight, I don't know, maybe the board members, I don't know, y'all help me here. You too, Mr. Manager. Do you think we want to, no, I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish. I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish, and then we can talk about it, okay? Go ahead.
So I'll answer that in two ways. One, the board has the ability to look at these particular programs and decide whether they would like the programs to proceed or not. The contracts and the RFPs will come after we get the directive from the board that, yes, we would like these programs to proceed, provide the documentation to provide back to us, and then we release an RFP on the street after it's been reviewed by the board and approved to be released on the street. The second part to that is looking at the facade improvement program in particular. I'm actually in agreement of utilizing a singular contractor, And actually, through my conversation with a few of the board members, as a whole, but as a consensus, one of the ideas brought up was focusing on a particular section instead of releasing the facade improvement program to the entire CRA. That way we have a focused location to actually make an impact. So the next fiscal year, when we generate a little bit more revenues, we can extend the program, but now we actually have a basis to go off of showing this is what the facade improvement actually does in a concentrated area. So when we do re-release it, we have an example that looks aesthetically pleasing and it shows results.
Board members? I'm thinking out loud, Mr. Manager. I know that we have the $500,000. Are we going to put out an RFP for each one of these items for someone to manage each one? Or are we going to do them in-house?
Anything that requires professional services will primarily be released as RFP. The other items can be facilitated in-house, but depending on how the board choose, you can even make the statement on the dais tonight that each one of these items you would like to either have an RFP or another particular selection process, unless the desire is for it to be in-house, but then that'd be another conversation to be had.
Me again, if no one, anyone else?
Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair. I think that what I'm hearing is the director, you want some feedback, correct, on how to move forward with the phase 2 of the project. And so are we tabling the vote, or are we voting, or there's no vote, or we're doing feedback right now? And I think I'm getting a little jumbled right now. I'm not sure which way we're going. But I do think, however, if we're not going to vote, and I do agree we shouldn't vote because it's not flushed out as much as we should have it, could we then provide, let's say before the next CRA meeting, our feedback to you or to Ms. Hall so that we can put that together? Or do you all want the feedback tonight? I think that's what, it sounds like I'm hearing you, feedback being presented on what we think, but I would like to have some more time to flush through phase 2.
And I think I apologize for the confusion, because as I'm looking at it and I'm thinking about it here, if we're going to put out a RFP for most of these things that have to be done at, of course, our manager can't do it all, and you know he's almost like a one-man band right now. So I'm thinking that before we vote on yes, $100,000 for the facade, you know, this amount for that, we've already voted on the $500,000. I would like to see the board, you all go back and look at it, because, you know, this would be our first time putting out a real RFP. We did a small something for the facade program, but now we're moving into a more broader area that some of us might not be as well versed as we would like to be in putting an RFP out on the street. And just wait a minute. And I think that I don't have enough, I don't think I feel comfortable enough for us to put these, to vote on it the way it is. I think we've already voted on the $500,000 because I would like to have more input from the board. I think that you all should be able to give more input to the director. he's fairly new at this as well as we are. So before we just say, yeah, we know the $88,000 from previous, we got that. But the other items, I would like to see you all more involved, or us as a board more involved in that conversation. So what do you think, Mr. Director? And then, you got that expertise in the back right there trying to say something.
I have 3 responses to that.
Okay.
The first one is the one that we're debating now, is looking at putting out an RFP for each one, which, you all need more information on what that looks like. Yeah. Option 2, and this is actually something I discussed during our budget hearing, is looking at an opportunity to bring in a singular consultant that would help the CRA in managing its projects moving forward. And then item 3, we did just approve a special project and events board. This is one of the functions of that board. They will look at the projects of the CRA, evaluate them with professional expertise on that board as well, to give us feedback to make sound decisions. So you do have those 3 options at your disposal.
Madam Chair?
We have our consultant sitting in the audience. Mr. Consultant, Mr. Not you, not the big consultant.
I know he wants to be on so bad.
Not the big consultant in the back. Mr. Gay, give us some feedback.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Gregory Gay. Basically, what the director, the interim director has presented to you is a laundry list of items that you can go forward with. One of the items you've actually taken action on already. So basically, based on the budget that you all set aside, he's saying that these are the projects that can be moved forward on. Now, you have 2 options as it relates to these particular projects, and the options are basically looking from a standpoint of doing an RFP process, which can be somewhat lengthy at times. But if you want to move a little bit more expeditiously, you do have the opportunity where you can have 3 bids that are presented relating to these particular projects. Now, with these particular bids, you're not necessarily setting the criteria from your standards, but you're giving a bidder an opportunity to present that information before you, and then you can make a decision as to how you would like to move forward with this. This is something that has to be done probably within a short period of time, because you would like to be able to expend these funds within the next fiscal year. We're already in November, we're going into the holiday season, so literally the first quarter, the first 3 months are already out of the way. So you're not even looking at expending these particular funds until you get into the second quarter, which starts in January. So I basically provide that information to you. This is the Facade Program. There's an opportunity to tweak that a little bit. I think we received comments on the last time that maybe there should not be the matching funds, and it should be actually a grant that is presented, and to look at it from that particular standpoint. For the strategic investment opportunities, this is basically looking at opportunities where we can make, physical improvements in those necessary areas of the city. And the last project seems to be a rather simplistic project. That's probably your lowest hanging fruit, which is for the residential assistance program, plant, paint, and pave program. So I would suggest that probably the Facade Program and the latter one, the paint program, will probably be your easier programs to implement. And the other one will probably be a little bit more consistent, and you may want to do that one with an RFP process and moving forward. If you have any questions, I'll address them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. That was very, very helpful. I see Mr. Anthony had his hand up.
Bob Anathan, budget, and some days purchasing. I hate to be Debbie Downer, but if you're going to go out for a project that's, you're going to award more than $25,000 for it, and if you're going to use the city's purchasing procurement rules, you will have to do an RFP on it.
We haven't adopted the city's procurement rules.
I know that.
In our bylaws, we are looking at setting up our own policy and procedure for purchasing.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've spoke to our interim manager about putting together policies and procedures, because some things I think that I've spoken to him about, and we need to get a vendor list of our vendors that are within the city, you know. And I know there are some instances where they have a vendors list and they rotate the vendors on those lists, on that list for smaller projects that are not, then you don't have to go out for RFP, because you know RFP process takes quite some time. And if you're talking about doing these projects within a year, that's, you know, and like Mr. Gay said, three months will be gone, and then you got 9 months, and then you got to fulfill the project. And we don't want to continuously have projects that are going over into the next year where we're not spending the money. We don't want to start off. I think that's a bad precedent to start. So the director here have a suggestion.
Pretty much hearing feedback from Mr. Gay. I think, you know, looking at those options that are available are well within our wheelhouse to take action on. And as I mentioned before, the board can decide on which programs they would like to proceed with. We can also retract some of the programs until a later time. As Mr. Anathan stated, these items will pretty much be looking at an RFP process until the CRA board comes up with policy and procedures. If the board would like to wait until those procedures are complete and not go with the city's procedures, then we can hold off on this entire item until those are completed.
Mr. Director, Mr. Manager, through the chair,
Yes.
being that this is a laundry list of things, we don't have to iron out the particulars tonight, because this is what, we're just going to say, this is what our wish list is what we want to do.
Correct.
We can iron out the particulars later down the line, how we want each program to run.
Correct, because as I mentioned before, the facade improvement program pretty much went through the same process to where we adopted to do the facade improvement program, and then we came back and decided, okay, how are we going to manage it, and then came back and did the agreement, the contract, and all that whatnot with particulars. But this is just to pretty much release it on, that this is what we're going to do internally, but before we release it out to the street, we'll have a conversation again about how we'll facilitate each program.
And I think that's where it got confused, because it never came out that this is pretty much a wish list, not a wish list, but like he said, a laundry list. This is what we're going to do with this money. But how we're going to do it is a different conversation.
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, I'm good with it.
And that was my kind of concern, that when you put it out there and you haven't really put the particulars, then you leave yourself open sometime for, you know, people to really come and kind of scrutinize. But if the director, if he's comfortable and the board is comfortable, then we could go ahead and vote on them, and then he can come back with the particulars later.
As long as you're saying that we're going to have a conversation in the near future to iron out the plan of attack for every single item, then I'm okay with it. That's what, I think that's what me and Chairwoman is saying.
I'm in full agreement with that,
Okay.
and we'll definitely talk about it in December.
Okay.
In December, we have a meeting? Okay. We won't talk about that now.
I'm about to say it's Christmas.
So if everyone is in agreement, we could go ahead and vote on the item? Okay, Madam Clerk?
Okay. Madam, who was it moved by and who's second?
Oh, I move it.
Okay,
Second.
okay, thank you.
Okay, the item has been moved in second. Roll call.
Thank you. Board Member Bass?
Yes.
Board Member Taylor?
Yes.
Board Member Titus?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Chair Russell?
Yes.
Item passed.
Okay, we don't have any more resolutions, right? So the next items are up for discussion, so we're gonna ask, our director if he would go through them quickly.
So, I would like to start my discussion as with item I-1, which speaks to signage and future project fencing. I actually have a handout to hand out to the board, and just beforehand, the item that I'll be presenting to you is a little bit different than signage per se, but it falls in the line of streetscapes. So this is also a branding tool that the CRA can utilize, looking at painting certain features in the city as a means of advertising our Morris architects, but also advertising the CRA. So I'll hand these items out to you now.
Go ahead, sir.
So the item that's been passed out to everyone looks at a beautification project. The entity that I'll be presenting they're called the Art Codes, and they actually completed multiple mural projects and public art pieces in Miami-Dade County. They provided information in regards to particular projects in the CRA area that they would like to explore in terms of the beautification. A lot of the items are along the street, so they could fall in line with streetscape improvements. Just to give the board an idea of, how we can do the small things to beautify the CRA area. With the examples also included is a budget to see the expenses for this particular activity, just so the board can have their mind wrapped around what would be provided and what it would take in terms of costs.
Where you're talking about painting this mural, what building is this?
So these are only examples. They're not definitive locations.
Oh,
This
okay.
is just to give the board an idea, some inspiration of what can occur in certain particular areas of the city, but none of these are definitive projects as of yet. That would have to be a conversation with the board as well as a conversation with the property owners prior to any engagement. These are strictly examples.
I love that light pole, look good. Question, in the cities, do we have to follow the code that's in the city concerning signage? Is this a part of the city's code, signage?
That is correct, yes.
So these do fall in the, Mr. Gay, please.
Wearing my other hat, Gregory Gay, Director of Planning and Community Development, Building and Licensing. This does fall within the guidelines as it stands right now relating to signage. There is a section that speaks to murals of designs and everything, so it does fall under that category.
That's why I included under signage.
Okay. I like that.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
my question is this the
yeah, please speak in the mic.
Is this the actual price of the mural that you're looking at? to $5,000?
As I'm looking at the cost estimate, I believe that's accurate for the mural, as it says, come upon entering. And then for the artwork for the multiple pieces, I believe that's a total number.
What size would it be?
Again, these are examples. What I could do is during the next meeting, I can have the actual consultant give us a presentation so they can break down the particulars of this particular item. I just wanted to present it to the board so they can at least visualize it first, and then we can have the actual discussion during our next meeting so they can break down everything.
Okay, thank you.
And he would also have to find a location, right? Find locations to
Correct.
do it within the CRA.
Correct. That's why these are examples, just so we can get our minds wrapped around this particular activity. But next time I will come back with particular locations in mind, and we have a little more accurate information, and have the consultant here to speak on this particular item.
I would like to make a suggestion that when this is done, that the residents of Opa-locka have a say-so and what they would want and where. I think that would go a long ways.
This is exactly why we voted on item 1 to put that committee together. So,
Good.
point well taken.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. All right, it's just a discussion item. We're not voting on it. The next item.
To I-1, still, I had another item. I don't have the supporting document, but I just want to state on the dais. Public Works, Public Works is looking to provide fencing around historic City Hall. And one of the things we want to do is provide a decorative banner on that fencing. That's something I want to bring to your attention. We're still working on the particulars of what that looks like in the cost estimate. So I'll be bringing that to you all during our next meeting, as we just are now getting that information together now.
Y'all know we love signage.
Okay, on to item I2. I have another handout, and actually a small goodie for everyone on the dais.
We like gifts.
All right, let me see. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then
You gotta give one for Vice Chair Davis. It's not here. You have to give him.
I have this here. No, it
it's
ain't
not
food.
food, but you wanna eat your plate, you can. Look how nice that is.
Come on, man.
That's, that's mine. Oh, no, I already have one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So what I provide to everyone is a copy of the handout for the Florida Main Street. So as of, let me see, what was 2 Tuesdays ago? Give me a brief moment. The 20 what? Just make it up. October 20-something. I went to Tallahassee to give a presentation for Opa-locka to become the next Florida Main Street designee. As of that voting, if the letter is in here, which it is not. So we are actually the highest vote getter during that event, and we are one of the Florida Main Street designees in the state of Florida.
Yay! Woo!
So what that entails is, technical support from the state of Florida, the Department of State, and the Historic Trust. We've also been provided funding for upstart activities, and pretty much nationwide recognition, because this is actually a nationwide program where, there's main streets all over the country that are facilitating this program, and this program is pretty much to rehabilitate historic downtowns. And I pretty much gave them the story of how, you know, downtown Opa-locka was once a vibrant place that had activities, that had restaurants and storefronts, and all the things that made this community vibrant. But I also was adamant about the point that, you know, prior to the 1970s, how African Americans weren't allowed to, you know, partake in those activities as well. So it was very important to not just revitalize the downtown, but also look at the history of what Opa-locka was, but look at its future that is now more inclusive to an entire community that's very diverse, but also very dynamic. And we're looking to bring it back together. So I'm very proud to say that this is something I've worked on for 2 years, and to finally have it come to fruition, it's been a pet project of mine, and I'm glad to be able to present it to the city. And this is something that will help us really push the needle in revitalizing not just the downtown, but the greater Opa-locka area. So, yeah.
This don't even come with dinner. Go ahead.
It comes with a $25,000 grant, so I
Yeah.
think we'll be fine.
And tell them what you're gonna do with the $25,000 grant that we received for being designated as a Main Street city.
So they actually have a technical assistance committee that'll be flying down from Tallahassee to do a walkthrough of the downtown and just pretty much have a brainstorming session looking at particular areas in the downtown and, you know, what best activities can be enabled, redevelopment activities, as well as other assistance matters. And then we'll look at the dollar amount that we've been provided and the best utilization for those funds, as well as other funds that will be made available.
Fantastic. So we got a little extra dollars in our coffer to do something with. Team, great job, great job.
The next item is item I3, which speaks to special projects and events calendar. So we just put together the committee for item I1, so we technically don't really need to discuss it. However, I did put together an events calendar previously during the last meeting. I don't think I provided in this meeting, but it's taking a look at the type of activities we'd like to see. So when the committee does come online, they'll have the ability to look at that calendar, but also add and subtract from that calendar as well, because they are the recommending board for the CRA board, and they'll be able to pick and choose what activities they would like to see. You know, the activities that are more applicable to this community is something that this community will actually, you know, attend and partake in. And that also plays in tune with the projects that the CRA would like to carry out, like the development incentives that we just reviewed, and other special projects that look to, you know, carry out the purpose and intent of the CRA. So just want to echo that we pretty much discussed it during item 1, and I'm just rehashing it now.
Mr. Director, what's the time frame do you want us to have some names together so we can get this committee up and running? We just started a new fiscal year, and I know that some of the board members have expressed what kind of activities they would like to see, so we really need to get that board up and going. And you can share with them some of the ideas from the board, what we've previously stated, and put that on your little calendar too. So anyone have a time limit as to when we want to have this board up and running?
The sooner the better. Because it's for this year, so we need it like ASAP, right?
Yeah, we need it ASAP. Choose some people in the community that want to work and that have already put ideas out there of what they would like to see and have. Grown folk night and children activities and things like that, okay? So let's get that done. And I asked the director, I don't know whether he has it available yet. I'll ask him in front of everybody. Do you have that application?
TBD.
Because maybe they had some names right now, they needed the application to give it out tonight.
The application will be provided by week's end.
Okay, there you go, there you go. Okay? Anything else?
The last item is looking at the aforementioned development incentives, which was on item H3. This discussion is looking at particular investment opportunities with those funds that we have set aside for development incentives. I just want to give a couple examples just so, when they come up, we have an idea of, how those dollars will be expended. So, we were looking at particular investments in terms of residential development. We know that when developers come in, there's certain funding that, they would like to receive in order to help, make the deal a lot more palatable. And looking at Opa-locka, there are some areas where, they could use some funding in order to close that gap, to close the deal and actually bring forth development. Putting on my city planner's hat, a lot of the projects that we've seen have literally stalled due to the fact that once they go through planning and zoning and commission and they get to permitting, there may be timeline constraints, or there may be some construction costs that waiver during that time frame. And, sometimes that may actually kill a development opportunity. So this is where the CRA can kind of come in and fill in and be that gap funding to help assist. And I would actually like to utilize a local developer that has a little bit more expertise in this area, just to give an idea of what that would look like.
He's asleep.
Oh, now you don't want to come up? State your name for the record, please.
Lundy, 14911 Duval Street, Opa-locka. Congratulations, Madam Mayor. Congratulations to everybody else. I've been working with Mr. Gates and everybody here to try to accomplish a project. And what happened, now I'm getting ready to do the second phase, which is going to be live work. Live work is where people, which is on the corridor that Mr. Gates and them been working on for a long time to do commercial pieces. But live work is where you have a house, and the house is converted into a business, like people do accounting and stuff like that. And the problem is now is the cost of construction, as you know, is going up tremendously every day. A lot of the boats can't come in, the truck's not moving right, so the cost is very unpredictable now, to where you cannot really come up with an exact price. So to get these particular projects off the road, you're going to need assistance along with partnership government. And in order to be able to make it successful, give you the square feet, give you the product, you're going to have to very continually work with y'all to be able to make this a successful project, because it's very hard for us developers to be able to do the single families and these type of things because of the cost is so high. But I'm putting together now to move forward with the second phase so that I can be able to do this live work. Like I said, there'll be apartments like I'm doing now, which there are single families, but you'll have your upstairs, you have your downstairs, and you'll have a setup now to where you can be able to have an actual office to where you don't have to work on the back of your house anymore. So it's going to be a situation where it's actually within your bylaws of the city of Opa-locka, to where you don't really have to work out your house. Because the ones I've done before is actually single families. These ones here won't be single families. These are the ones when you go out there in Brickell and stuff like that, you have the folks got these nice homes where they have that, but now we're going to bring it here and make it work for the convenience of the Opa-locka people.
So dramatic.
Any questions?
So well, it's like where you're going to be able to, like, if I have my home office.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll be able to have my home office legally in the city of Opa-locka.
Yes. With parking.
Okay. With parking, you said?
Parking arrangements and everything will be set up based on the way y'all have your ordinance set up, so there won't have to be anything illegal at all in your house. It's actually a business. You have an accounting office, you have a beauty salon, or whatever the case may be.
A
It'll be
beauty
set up.
salon
Yeah,
you
you
can
can
have
set
in your
because
house?
it'll be set up for that, stuff like that. Because when you build it, you'll have everything in place to where you can be able to plug in things and do things the necessary way. So that's what it's why they call it live work.
Live work. Okay, I have to get educated on that.
Because is there a model that we can see?
Of course.
Because I don't think none of us are familiar with that particular
Model.
live work. Workforce housing, yeah, but live work, I've never heard of that before.
So what live work is pretty much units where you will have your living facility either on an upstairs level, and on the downstairs level would be pretty much open space, office space, or just a space where you conduct certain business operations. They actually have this a lot in urban centers. Wynwood has this location called the Filling Station Lofts, which is one of my primary examples, where the upstairs is like a loft area where you live, sleep, and all that whatnot, and downstairs is where, they conduct their operations. I know individuals have barbershops, nail salons, do taxes, you have it as their art gallery. It's a large array of things that could be done with these opportunities. And looking at this in the Magnolia North area would expand not only the uses, but the living arrangements along the Alibaba corridor, as we're looking to transform that entire area into more of a village type of community, and making sure that the resources that are available are also available to the residents within close proximity. And being able to live where you work, but also being a component to the community, it creates a stronger sense of community, because now those business owners are also residents on that same block.
Chairperson?
Not this,
Yes, I'm sorry, are you
no, I was
finished?
just going to say, not to sound like my colleague, Commissioner Bass,
I'm
but
sorry.
I would like to see it, because I know that's what she was saying. Could we do a field trip to see what you're talking about?
Where do they, what you probably would say is where are some already made?
Yeah, where are some, yeah.
Okay, the way they have them, if you go such as here in 36th Street, which is with that little area in there, right there where all those buildings at.
Midtown.
Yeah, the only difference is they go up with them.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we're actually doing them in homes now, to where the house itself would be set up as an office and a house. Just take the same one you walked in right there, which was my building right here. Now you take that, and all we're doing now is converting the bottom part of it into a business.
And then you live on the top.
Then you live on the top floor.
Yeah,
So it's a high-end situation, but we're bringing it in.
okay. And I guess it would be, go ahead, Board Member Bass, I'm sorry.
Yes,
2 questions.
yes.
Are there any businesses that are exempt from that?
No.
None at all?
Mr. Gay probably can answer that, because it's a part of the ordinance.
Gregory Gay. It is a part of the criteria that we created for these particular types of utilization. And if you really think about it, it's more like a reflection of how housing in urban areas used to be, especially if you're familiar with housing in New York, housing in Chicago, Philadelphia, where you had your business downstairs and you lived upstairs. That's what live work is all about. And with this new urbanism movement that took place for the last 10, 15 years, it's really just a retro look of how housing used to be within the urban core. Now, we can provide you with some of the examples that they have here locally. There's not a whole lot, because one of the things about this particular type of housing is that the financing of it has kind of been not totally figured out as of yet. But the product has been put out there. The banks are figuring out how to finance it, because banks usually either want to finance you from a commercial side
Yeah.
or a residential side. And when you do both, they get confused. At the end of the day, you're owning the property, so they should look at it from a home ownership perspective regardless. So we'll provide you with that information. Getting back to the criteria as far as parking is concerned, it's pretty much a single-family home. In some cases, they're duplexes. So whatever the parking criteria is for that is going to be the same. So it'll be maybe possibly 2 parking spaces with an additional on-street parking for your business operation.
I hear you, I understand the concept, but my problem with it is, or concern is, I don't want a mechanic shop next door to my whatever. That's why I'm asking you, is there any exemptions of businesses that are not allowed in that environment?
They're usually, and this is based on the zoning, they're usually geared toward businesses that are office operations,
Yeah,
or
home
interior
base,
operations.
home base.
So to have someone running a mechanic shop or something that's really of a high mechanical, structural thing, that's least likely to take place within that category. Those are more industrial uses, and our code really expresses it from that standpoint.
And you also have an HOA, so that once you set that HOA up, everything will be inside there. You'll also have an HOA, like we're gonna do with these ones here. So with that HOA, you'll have things where you can't rent them, you can't do none of that stuff, because at the end of the day, it's affordable. At the end of the day, you have certain criteria in there to where people can't come paint it, people can't do anything. So everything will be in a situation where they pay their money every month to maintain it, to do everything within that HOA, so you won't be able to do anything out the way.
Okay, but I think that,
So it's kind of like a homeowners association type.
It'll be all that, like we're doing the ones now.
but the wording that Mr. Gay used, least likely, so that means that there is an opportunity for that mechanic shop.
No, it's
There
not
will
set up
not
for that.
be.
It's not set up for that at all.
Yeah. And
These are single-family homes only, in little businesses.
or board members, look at it like this, you know, some of us go to our hairdressers, they do our hair within their home, they'll just be doing it legally now.
Okay.
Your barber, sometime you go to the barber's house to get your hair cut,
But I
and
think-
that's not legal. So now it'll be there, you'll have a place where you can run your business legally out of your house.
But just can we get a certain, Madam Chair, a certain businesses that are allowed and certain businesses that are not allowed?
Yes.
So
Yes.
accounting services are allowed, but
Yes.
restaurants are not. So that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Can we get something like
Yeah.
that in the criteria when you said no?
No, restaurants won't be allowed.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying, I guess that's
For
what
the
we-
areas that we
Right.
have targeted for this live-work area, we already know what the zoning will allow and what it
Yes.
will basically not allow to take place. So anything that's pretty much an office operation is allowed, something that doesn't generate a whole lot of people coming on a daily basis. Restaurants, we already know that generates a lot of traffic. That's something that would not be
So
allowed.
what about daycares? Because we allow daycares in residential areas in Opa-locka.
Daycares fall under a different criteria, and putting a daycare in a live work would be very complicated, so highly unlikely to take
And
place.
with the new laws with DCF, it would highly be unlikely you be able to get it. With the
Highly
spaces.
unlikely, but it's still possible.
But just to let you know, that the criteria that's to be established for that, we would appreciate input from the CRA board because it will have an impact on the CRA area. But at the end of the day, the regulations will be established and voted on by the city commission.
Okay. So this is something that the city commission have already, is already looking at and, are looking to establish. Okay. And criteria is basically being put in place. Okay. All right. We look forward to it. It's interesting, and anything to make our city better, we look forward to it, and, we look forward to working with you, sir.
Thank you all. Any other questions? Any other questions?
We don't have any more questions. Long as you don't put a mechanic shop next to Miss Bass, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, a board member Titus.
But I thought Mr. Titus might want me to fix his car.
No, nope. Let it go.
I have a question, please.
She have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just so I don't have totally pictured in my head. Are we talking about a street of these live, work houses, or would they be sporadic?
There's only 6 of them, like just one little room, small little lot, with 6 of them, which would be able to be space for just for those 6.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not no big humongous thing, because other things they have an agenda for. So you're doing this here, this little bit right here, then you have other people do other things as you're going, but it's just a small little 15,000 square feet, a lot of that big. And just like the same ones I did over here, if you've seen the ones I've done, it's really the same thing, except for we're taking out the garages now and making them into businesses.
And this is in the triangle,
So
or this
then-
is coming?
We don't have an area called the Triangle.
We don't have the triangle
We do have
anymore.
Magnolia
It's
North.
called Magnolia North.
It's called the triangle.
And you'll see poodles, you'll see a lot of poodles and stuff. You know, you'll see poodles walking down the street in the future.
Triangle.
So we're
And
talking
also,
about,
what I wanted to create also, because what I also wanted to create is I'm trying to work with Miami-Dade Community College and South Florida Workforce, because I want to build a team to hire those guys around there to work along with me. So I'm going to have to come to y'all later on to help me out, because I've been paying the guys them around there, and I want to build a program, because a lot of them in there doesn't really have the ability. So I want to sit down with y'all in the future and work with y'all to build a program together that I'm trying to put together now, so they can work for me, also go to school, also go to Miami-Dade, and I can try to empower them around there.
Yeah, and you know what, on that note, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up. You have another question?
yes,
Yes.
I still have in my head these mini strip malls in between single-family homes. Do I have the right concept?
Okay, what you need to do is if you can come at 14911 Duval Street, and then I can show you exactly what I have. And all I'm doing is changing around the garage where you can get a better concept on what we're doing right then. You'll be able, it's not a mall, it's nothing like that. And if you see the exact stuff I've done already, then I'm just duplicating that and just changing it around now into small little live workplaces.
So
it's
you
not
say the business would be on the ground floor and the living would be on the second floor?
top floor, you can
Would
put
be on
your,
the second floor.
and that's
So
your
the
choice.
ground floor, does it look like a storefront or does
No,
it look
no.
like a house?
This looks like a house.
Mhm.
It looks like, you have a choice. You don't have to put the business there, but if a person wants to, they're set up to do that.
Okay.
Just like when you go in the white folks' neighborhood, they're there already. We're just trying to bring it here now.
Other neighborhoods, when we go in other
Yeah,
neighborhoods.
yeah, it's moving up a little bit now.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
One thing I would like to say, that you know that my business is over in that area. And when I go there in the mornings, I see those young men that Mr. Lundy have working, riding up on their bicycles and walking up and waiting on him. And we were talking about it the other day, how we applaud him for giving those guys in that community a job. You see them, they're waiting on him to come there in the morning, and they're wiping the windows down, they're cleaning up the yard, and he pays them. And I think that's a great thing to provide that for people in the community. Now to take it further and try to get them in with Miami-Dade and other people that do that. I think Leroy Jones has a kind of program like that as well, where that would really be a help to that community. So I applaud you for that, because it takes a lot of patience to be bothered sometime with people. So I applaud you for that. Any other concerns before we close out for us, Mr.?
Just one more piece to that. Also looking at commercial improvements as well. Some of the dollars in the strategic investment program can be utilized for targeted industries, as it's mentioned in the letter that was provided. And it shows that you know, a certain dollar amount could be expended for certain interior build-outs for designated developments, such as a restaurant, such as, you know, a new store or anything like that. So just having your mind wrapped around that. So that's it.
Okay, any other concerns? I think we have some great projects. We're looking forward to some great things ahead. I see my grandson with his hand up.
No, he's ready to go home.
He's ready to go home.
Just one thing I want to say in closing. I love the Black Girl Magic that's on this board. You know, it's been one thing that I've seen it when I came in. It was very male dominated. So to see this, it's amazing for me personally. I mean, coming from a man, like, I like to see this because this is an example to young girls that are out there that, you know, y'all have the ability to be what y'all want to be and have the ability to make sound decisions to impact your community. So I do want to applaud that. Also, the fact that, you know, this is a resilient community, and doesn't matter what the narrative's been in this community over the past few days, but we're going to keep moving forward. I mean, we are in a place that we haven't been in years, and I want that to reflect not just this board, but throughout the entire city, that we're in a positive place and we're truly moving forward. And I want everybody's head to be held up high because we're going to continue moving forward. So that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. I accept that encouragement. Everybody, y'all accept that encouragement?
I received that.
Okay.
I received
that. Okay, I love that narrative. I love that narrative. So the community gets to see that Opa-locka is moving forward in a positive way. We have great minds up here, and we're putting our, as they say, our elbows to the plow, or our Commissioner Titus might know those old terms, elbows to the plow, and we're doing something great to make our, move our city forward. So thank you, board members, great job. Thank you, Mr. Director, Mrs. Attorney, thank you, Mr. Gay. Community, thank you, we really appreciate IT, thank you.
Oh. And thank you, Board Member Taylor, for dealing with all our foolishness. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Nothing like having fun. Love what you do. You do it better when you love what you do. Thank you. Have a good night. Motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.